Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi has vowed to take proactive measures to halt further land invasions and the mushrooming of illegal informal settlements across the province. Lesufi announced this earlier this week when he gave an update on various issues affecting the province. Now, he also announced that the Nasi Ispani job creation project will be relaunched and that progress has been made in the province's readiness to host the G20 Summit in November. Now, the Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi joins us in studio now to talk more about the plans. Good morning and thanks for coming through.
Thank you so much, SK. Are you well this morning?
I'm well. Are you well?
I'm holding on. I'm holding on.
Holding on, I think, is a good way to describe it.
I'm holding on.
Let's start. Very prestigious event with Gauteng being chosen as the host province for the G20 Summit in November. The readiness, it started with the incredulous remarks, in terms of even the president not knowing that things were so bad when this is the lived reality of so many Gautengers on a daily basis. So how are we looking with regard to readiness?
Well, it has propelled us to really bring some new mechanism, and that excites me, to be quite frank. So every Tuesday we meet with all the mayors. And every Tuesday we meet with all the agencies, ESCOM, Sandral, National Government Department. So we hosted the Minister of International Affairs last week Tuesday, and meeting with the venue and other things. I think we are making progress. It has assisted us not to work differently or to work separately. So we are working together as a unit. We know how many potholes we need to fill now. We know how many street lights need to be fixed, the traffic lights and all other related matters. So we are making meaningful project. I must be honest, we'll be ready to host the G20. We've already hosted 17 of these sub-meetings. So the big one is in November. I'm very hopeful. I'm very hopeful that at least we are working together. And I said to the team, it must not be about G20 now. Let's also go beyond G20. And all of them unanimously agreed that even beyond G20, we need to use this mechanism. And the reality is that, you drive through the R21, we can see that we've made meaningful changes, R24, but must not only target routes that are G20-related routes or G20-related activities, but across and provide support across all our citizens.
And I was going to say that because, where is the priority? And also to the consternation of many who live in Gauteng province, these are things that occurred over time, where the potholes, the infrastructure dilapidation and all sorts of other ills, the crime escalation, these things have been happening. And now it seems as though this is a response to a G20 summit, whereas people have to live through this every day, Mr. Premier. Not
necessarily. It's the intergovernment relations that collapsed in our province. When I was elected the Premier, there's one executive mayor of one city that didn't even want to be in the same meeting with us. We could not plan together. When we had this change of coalitions in all municipalities, we could not plan together. And this led to this massive disintegration of our infrastructure. But besides, there's no single municipality that can resolve one problem of Gauteng. If we don't coordinate our resources and give support to all municipalities, what we are saying will be the order of the day. So I'm glad that we've arrested the situation. All executive mayors, all municipalities without exception, we are now planning from the same center. We are now allocating our resources together. We can cover each other if there are one is struggling with resources. And that is why you can see the massive improvement that we have. Literally, we've targeted those traffic lights, we've targeted those potholes. It's just that we're massive. Some people might not see the changes, but others can see that we've made drastic changes. But if we don't strengthen and protect intergovernment relations, including bringing national, because it was also absent because of the challenges that we had in our province. So now we are pushing it. I'm hopeful that we are going to make meaningful and drastic changes in the facilities that we have in our province.
So it's great that you are hopeful, but how do you transfer that optimism to the citizens? Because speak to us about practical examples of why citizens should be hopeful about what's happening in Gauteng.
I'll give you 3 examples. The first one is electricity. We've stabilized it. Me and you knew that there was some animal called load shedding or load reduction. stabilized. And in our province, together with ESCOM, we've managed to put the necessary systems in place. The second one is water. We had to overhaul the water infrastructure because that water might come from Lesotho. It goes to Ekurhuleni, it goes to Tshwane, it goes to... So now it's only limited parts of Sentin and other areas. Me and you in November, with so many people that were on water tanks, we've reduced that element. We are on infrastructure, which is the main economic driver in terms of filling potholes, repainting the roads and other things. We're at 70%, which is something that if you check 3 years ago, it was a problem. On crime, check how many people and syndicates that we've cracked. 2 days ago, the kingpin of kidnappers is out. We have 5 people last night out that were dealing with syndicates and kidnappings. Those that were responsible for cash heist, they committed a cash heist within 3 hours. They were arrested. So these are kind of support systems that we've put in the province to deal with this. But the challenges are humongous, especially with the infrastructure challenge. We have inherited an aging infrastructure, and it's not an excuse. We just have to go to the market, get those that are prepared to give us money, fix the infrastructure. We just received 84 billion for the revitalization of Johannesburg CBD and the revitalization of our sewer system, so that we don't have sewer that is flowing all over.
But the question is, Mr. Premier, why did you allow it to deteriorate to this point? Because surely there's a maintenance budget for infrastructure. Why have things been left to deteriorate?
I don't want to sound like a scratch record on the issue of intergovernment relations. Let me give you one example. For us to fight crime, all municipalities were fighting crime on their own. And when we need backup from Tshwane to assist us, for example, in Morafong, we couldn't do that. So we have to start afresh to say, guys, let's put all our resources and have a borderless Gauteng. Go to a council meeting, pass this resolution, sign this memorandum of understanding so that even your policeman, if he's shot dead from Tshwane in Morafong, the insurance can still pay and all this. We've done those things. It took time, but we've done that. Now we've put all the resources. If we have to go and invade Johannesburg CBD and clean it of hijack bidding, clean it of criminals and drug cartels, we can pull everyone. We can pull everyone from Tshwane, everyone from Johannesburg and go there. Ekurhuleni, Morafong, Midvaal, go there, which is a significant progress. But I share your sentiments of frustration. People are impatient. They want changes to happen now. There is at least drastic changes that are visible. It's just unfortunate when you achieve one, the other one comes in. When you achieve one, the other one comes in.
Because it takes long, Mr. Premier. People are now saying you are a premier of promises, no delivery. You've now lately promised to eradicate informal settlements in Gauteng.
We have to. We should not attend to them because people will accuse us that we're making promises. We said we'll hunt 250 criminals. No one said you made a promise. Where are they? 113 have been arrested. 18 of them have been shot dead by police. That's the commitment we made. How will you monitor me if I don't make a commitment? You can interpret it as a promise, but how will you monitor me if I don't say we want to hire so many people as part of our Nasi Ispani program? How will you monitor me? How will you monitor me if I don't make those commitments?
Let's take them step by step. So now the promise to eradicate informal settlements. Where does that stem from? You know, in terms of budget allocation, how are you going to achieve this with regard to the number of informal settlements in Gauteng and the fact that they're mushrooming every day?
Exactly my point. If there's a mushroom in the middle of Randbeck, do you think Johannesburg municipality alone will do it? They can't. They need everyone. They need the private sector, other municipalities, other resources. That's what they've achieved. That is why now we can be ready to dismantle this informal settlement, because we've got the capacity that we needed to deal with this aspect. But they've identified 400 of them. And this was due to intergovernment relations, to say which municipality have not registered, which municipality have not funded, which municipality have not put water and electricity. Give us that. 400 of them, they gave that information. That's hard work. And what we've done, out of that information, we've deposited within our intelligence matrix. Who has applied for grade 1 and 8? Which address did they use? who has applied for a social grant, who's coming to our clinics, which address are they using. So we've profiled all the 400. We know who are South Africans, who are not South Africans, and are going to adhere to the law. Those that are there and establish this informal settlement without permission, unfortunately their time is up, because we can't allow lawlessness or to convert our province to a shanty town with people that either are not on our waiting list, which simply means they don't need houses because they're not even on our waiting list, that they want to jump the queue because they believe that if they close the freeways and protest, we'll leave those law-abiding ones that are on the queue and go and give them water and electricity because they've closed the highway. Those days are over, and that is why you need a collective effort of all these municipalities, and we have now. They're under the direct command of the SAPS. We meet every Tuesday and Friday to plan, to put all the resources. So instead, in terms of the resources that I'm speaking about, if Midval, Ekurhuleni, Tshwane, Johannesburg, Merafong put all their resources, we are ready to deal with these things of informal settlements.
So what is the plan, timelines, timeframes with regard to dealing with this?
If I say that, unfortunately, I'm going to encourage them to move overnight. Leave it with us. That is why we're going to make these evictions around 2 a.m. because we really want to ensure these are the people that are there. They're not still either attending a party or attending something. They are back at home around that time, and we'll identify those that need to be removed. And those that are South Africans, we have an obligation according to the law to provide the necessary alternative support system for them. But those that are not South Africans, it's just unfortunate. You have to document yourself, or else we don't know who you are, where you come from, why you are here, and we can't provide resources to you if we don't know you exist. And that is the reason why we believe that people must document themselves appropriately.
And appreciating that you want to basically protect the integrity of what you're about to do, how soon are you looking at doing it?
But how will we know if people have connected illegally to water? How will you know if people have connected illegally to electricity, to the sewer system? How will you know if people have parallel municipal services? There are people that are having their own transformers in our own country, Sakina. So the timelines are going to be difficult, but the 400, we've done our work. With what we know now, there must be no new informal settlement. The team is working on that thing. We've also used some satellite technology to assist us. If there's a new informal settlement, we know what to do. We have to deal with the 400 that are unregistered, unknown, but they're utilizing our infrastructure and our resources, thus burdening the entire budget of government. We need to reach a stage where we say it's enough, it ends here, and it stops here.
You mentioned Merafong, and there's a situation in Merafong where you raised alarm about the dolomite situation in Merafong. So you also said that people are reluctant to move.
Yeah.
Yet when it rains, these sinkholes develop. So what's the situation there?
Well, that is why we asked the national COCTA team that is visiting us in our province. We need to work together as government. Unfortunately, we have compiled a report. We know the situation. And I can tell you, Sakina, one day this interview will be recorded. The situation there is going to be something that will embarrass all of us. Because those sinkholes, they've swallowed the school, they've swallowed houses, they're on the verge of literally swallowing everyone that is there. So if we can't migrate people as quickly as possible before the rainy season, I can tell you we'll regret. And people will come back to us and say, this is... So we need an emergency. And all the emergency requirements that we've put as a provincial government, they've been rejected. Because people believe a disaster must occur first before they can bring resources. We are requesting the opposite. Bring resources so that we prevent a disaster from happening. And unfortunately, our requests have been falling on deaf ears. And that is why yesterday we said to the committee that is responsible for local government, here is a disaster pending. And if we can't resolve this disaster, we're going to be in big, big trouble. And God forbidding, I hope it's not going to happen.
So what is the plan with regard to the relocation of the people in the areas that you've identified in Merafong?
The plan is there, but government regulations and laws say if I remove Sakina from this place, the least government can offer in terms of housings and RTP house. The only people that can get a better or bigger house is military veterans. So we've been requesting that at least the military veterans' houses are a little bit bigger. Let's use that format when you fund us to relocate people. And unfortunately, the answer has been no. And because the answer has been no, people say, I can't leave my 6-room house when we are 8 in a family and go and take me to an RTP house that has only 1 or 2 bedrooms. It's going to be practically impossible. I'll rather be swallowed by this sinkhole here in my own house rather than go where you want to us, which is a legitimate concern. I had public meetings there, and this concern is coming time and again. So we have to attend this thing because those sinkholes are massive, Sakina. There's a school that we have to abandon there because the sinkhole has just developed inside the schoolyard. And this is the 3rd year, and those children are in a makeshift temporary school. And we have been requesting resources to assist us to deal with this matter. The clinics, the other things. So we just have to attend to this disaster before it happens. And that's our plea. And I hope those that we work with within government, they will understand. And I'm glad yesterday there was at least a commitment from the team there that they will carry our message when they finalize their report. The Mirafong sinkholes are a reality. The Mirafong sinkholes is a disaster that will embarrass all of us if we don't carefully manage it. There are studies from universities that have been presented to us, and we can't ignore those studies.
And, so many issues that I want to touch on, so little time.
So,
I want to get to the political killings task team, and you've asked for a similar team to be established in Gauteng. Why is that? Because
there have been a pattern of people that are killed and their cases stand unresolved. There was a municipal manager 3 years ago, was assassinated, broad daylight at a mall. He was a municipal manager of a municipality called Sidibeng District. In Johannesburg, in the last 6 months or so, we've lost 3 councillors. Tshwane is worse. Literally, we know every month or so we'll lose a councillor. Whistleblowers are targeted. In Ekurhuleni, where the whistleblower or somebody that was compiling a report that was assassinated. We know fresh incidents like Babita Tekoren. We know people that have been followed. The regional secretary of the ANC in the West End was pumped with almost 18 bullets. So we can't have this situation going unattended, where people believe they've got the license to kill and they know nothing will happen to them. So we have learned with the KZN political task team. So we said we need terms of reference, the resources, and we also need a clear division of responsibilities so that there is no confusion or interference. And on the basis of that, I met with the Minister of Police, and in our discussion with the Minister of Police, he looked favorably to our request. And we're quite excited when we hear the National Commissioner announcing that there will be. So in the next 4 weeks, the practical and logistical work of the team will be announced by a provincial commissioner because we also don't want to enter that space. We have called for it. It's going to be established. Let's hand over to those that are professionals to execute this mandate.
And then, in the interest of time, just jumping to something else, the revitalization of the city of Johannesburg, many challenges here, that Lillian Ngoyi Street project, and again, the overruns that are happening there. Some people have questioned from what we've seen has been done to date, the quality of the workmanship in terms of what is happening there. But also just in Gauteng, the way forward with regard to coalitions, because you touched on this in another media briefing that you did, with regard to how these coalitions and potential instability there actually has a great impact on service delivery. There's the MMC for transport in Gauteng, in the city of Johannesburg's position, with Kenny Kunene, who vacated that space, that has become, a bit of a challenge for the city of Johannesburg. But 460 billion rand Transnet has committed to spending on revitalization of the Johannesburg inner city. It is a mess in that inner city. So will that not be throwing good money after bad, given what's going on?
Well, we need to take a... I hope South Africans are not going to blame me for this. We need to take a decision to establish a new Johannesburg city, or do we repair the current Johannesburg city? We went to the market, we got almost 84 billion. to build a new government precinct. So do we keep the sentiments that this is our CBD? The way it is, how much it will cost to be at the level of competing with your Dubai, your Paris, your New York? Or do we have to swallow our pride and say, follow the example of Waterfall in Midrand, just established a new city, just outside Johannesburg, with the necessary infrastructure that is new, with the necessary transport mode that is accessible, with the necessary new buildings that will allow us to move with times like artificial intelligence. That's a debate. So I know you want...
you, but if that were the case, what then happens to the currency?
Exactly. I'm saying that's a debate we South Africans have to enter it, because if we do it as government alone, we'll be damned. If we don't do it, we are currently damned that the situation is out of control. And our view is very simple, Sakina, that we need a combination of the two at most. We have to develop a new Johannesburg, where there's law and order, and Johannesburg that can be the real Johannesburg and compete with the world. We have to let go of the things that made Johannesburg to be Johannesburg. Gold is no longer here. What are the new economic spin-offs? We are looking at the financial sector. We are looking at the pharmaceutical sector. We are also looking at ICT and communication. All the big companies are here that are dealing with ICT. So we need a new Johannesburg with a new economic node that can rise from the ashes and be something that we can be proud. The current one, it will really take us long for us to reposition it to where it wants to. But it's not our decision of government.
Yeah.
It's a decision that we need to take with the citizens of Johannesburg and the government of Johannesburg as well.
Mr. Premier, we'll continue, and I'm hoping that we'll speak a lot more and isolate some of these issues. But
Please
thank you so much for your time. Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi giving us an update on some of the province's programs. I'm going to ask him to just sit tight, and then we're going to do headlines and touch on a few more issues here. Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi. Well, thanks so much for staying with us here on Morning Live. And of course, we still have so much more to come. We told you at the beginning, this is a busy show this morning. And the Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi with us in studio, talking to us about taking proactive measures to halt further land invasions and also deal with the mushrooming of illegal informal settlements across the province. Now, Premier, thanks so much for engaging us a little bit longer. You know, top story there, as I said, there are so many issues in Gauteng. The taxi situation, we saw a few weeks ago the e-hailing driver that was shot and killed at Maponya Mall. And again, taxis that many people in the province say are a law unto themselves. What is government doing to proactively deal with that situation? And I'm not sure at this stage whether it's still proactive or reactive, but regardless, something needs to be done.
They were a law unto themselves. The reason why in Ekurhuleni they protested, because they can feel our footsteps. You can't have a taxi that does not have a license that is freely roaming on our street. That's lawlessness. We can't allow that. So we've got a special unit that is working 24 hours, that is assisting in getting the taxi industry aligned to the rules of our country. And we didn't just do that. We consulted, we briefed the taxi associations, and they have agreed with us. They themselves, they're saying that you find a taxi from another province coming here, operating here. So when we started to enforce those laws, compound to those that have not even applied for licenses and they're operating, that's the noise that came from Ekurhuleni. And we're happy that all other regions stood on our side. So we're not going to participate in this reckless activity of just pulling out purely because we don't want to align ourselves. That is why within 24 hours they agreed with us to say they will submit their license application, will process them, and they will only perform when they've got those licenses. And that's how we deal with these matters. And we can't be dictated or be bullied by people that think they can use force. We've strengthened our capability to return fire with fire. If there are people that think they can dictate, bully us because they think they've got the sole right to use violence to resolve issues, they are wrong. We're here. We've got a unit, and I want to thank the RTMC, well-resourced, capable to gather information and to confront the situation. We're working very well with the taxi industry. And our approach is where we need to negotiate and talk, we will. We'll be the first one to be there. But if people are going to bully us and call names publicly on public television, that they don't want to talk to us, they don't want to, it's fine, don't talk to us. We'll find a mechanism of talking to you. And so where we are, the industry is now working with us. We're involving them in the G20. They're part of the subcommittee that, because we need to also ensure that they're appropriately empowered. So we'll work with the tax industry and those that are willing to work with us. But those that want to be rogue, that think they will intimidate us and think that they can just do as they wish, we're not going to allow this. We want to align them, for example, the bus lanes and other things, to allow them to utilize those lanes and ensure that the industry is viable as well. We will deal with those things, but we're not going to be intimidated or bullied by any other individual.
Speaking of buses and bus lanes, the rapid bus transport system, the issues that have cropped up there, especially with regard to Piotrans in the city of Joburg, have those been resolved to your satisfaction?
It's a model, and we raised concern when that model was formulated. And you can see the numbers have dwindled, because people that are using public transport, they need reliable public transport. They don't want the transport that they know. They don't know whether it will be there or not there. They don't want the transport where if workers have a disagreement with the employer, they just abandon them. And we told them, you are killing the market. We need to find a way and a mechanism of ensuring that we provide reliable, trusted, and cheap transport. And then our people will utilize our transport. But what we are seeing there, and the squabbles that are there, and the promises that will not be kept by those that made those promises, it creates huge frustration. And we are right, we need to move with speed to appoint the new MMC there. I think the executive mayor is dealing with that matter, so that we can resolve these issues as speedily as possible. But the model is still important. It's how we are financing and funding that model that is creating problems.
The question is, why has it taken so long to appoint someone in that position?
Well, coalitions are like that, Sakina. Welcome to the world of coalitions. South Africans, I don't think they've grasped what we're trying to manage. I said at the press conference, the African National Congress feels that it's in a polygamous relationship with all these political parties. Because all these political parties want a relationship with the ANC. They don't want a relationship with whoever that is governing with the ANC. And this political party will make a demand, and that other political party will disagree with that demand. Take what happened to the Speaker of the Action SA in the city of Johannesburg. Action SA had a speaker, but they didn't want to support another candidate. And what happened? They were removed. So the management of coalition government, Sakina, we have tried our best, and I think South Africans have not appreciated the balance, the balancing act that we have kept intact so that we can still have governance in our province. But it's a difficult, difficult moment. And the issue of the MMC of transport is one such situation where another political party needs that position, another political party said, but this is our position. And we say, let's go, let's go to a trial.
Positions belong to political parties?
Obviously, they second people there. That's how government is formed.
But does that mean you get to hold on to that position as a political party?
Well, I'm saying that the transport portfolio belonged to PA, and PA suspended their representative there, and a new representative from the PA was forwarded to the executive mayor to say, appoint this. But the executive mayor said, no, I have a prerogative to appoint them where I feel that I need to appoint them. And the other political parties say, you dare do that, will walk out or will not cooperate. So we have to step in.
So you are nursing the coalition?
That's the nature of the day. Actually, coalition is about nursing and balancing the act.
At the expense of the citizens of the city of Johannesburg.
But it's the same citizens that voted for these parties. So it can't be at their expense.
Well, they voted for the parties. They didn't vote for the coalitions you formed.
But if you vote for parties that can't form government, what do you do?
Yeah, but they didn't say we want that particular coalition comprised of A, B, C, D. That is something that the officials have to take accountability for.
They said all of you run government. That's what voters said.
Yeah, but they didn't say you must have that portfolio, you must do this, or ANC go into a coalition with this party, and that party. No, that was your decision.
No, it works that way.
But it was your decision.
No, but even if you vote for ANC, voters don't say, the ANC, after we voted in, this portfolio must go to, no.
Yeah, but you didn't go back to ask them, who do you want us to go into a coalition with? Did you?
No, we did.
Where?
On the basis of the political parties that they voted, because you can't run a poll where we have to ask people to say which political party. Those that have been voted into, you call all of them and say, are you willing to run government? Just like at national level. You called all political parties. Others said, you don't want to be part of government of national unity. You said, no, it's fine. We'll do that. But I'm not blaming voters. What I'm saying, that the situation that we are in now, that came out of the voting patterns of our citizens, compels all of us to have a balancing act on how best we keep government intact. And that task, because it's new, unusual, is extremely difficult, Sakina.
That is unfortunately where we have to leave it. I could speak to you the whole day, because there are still so many issues that we haven't touched on. The 2 billion rand that was now recently explained in Ekurhuleni, the situation in the city of Tshwane, so many issues around Gauteng. There are so many of the municipalities that we haven't even touched on. But of course, that's just the nature of the beast. But thank you so much, Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi, giving us an update on some of the promises, programs and plans.